Meanwhile, Mung Anwen and White Divine were observing the preliminary selection from the small courtyard. White Divine, noticing Lin's team only scored 23 points while the leading teams had already amassed over 40, began to grumble, questioning why is Lin's team slacking so much. He got a bit anxious and also annoyed seeing their points not going up. White Divine turned to Mung Anwen with a smile, asking if he could secretly look into the Divine Tower to reveal what was happening inside. Mung Anwen firmly refused, as that would be considered cheating. While blowing on his tea, which steamed with heat, he seemed unperturbed, unlike White Divine who was walking back and forth this entire time. After all, the preliminary selection wasn't a race. Making it through was all that mattered. He then asked White Divine if he lacked confidence in Lin. However, White Divine laughed heartily, raising his arm and clenching his fist, saying he was confident in his disciple, yet he jested that Lin would be in trouble if he didn't bring home first place. As we returned to Lin and his team, everyone was noticeably exhausted, far from the ease they initially felt, except for Yi Yi and Lin. Tao Tao's arms were numb from holding her shield for an extended period, and Emma was visibly fatigued from having to apply crowd control to the mobs meanwhile keeping up with the healing duties. Oliver was in no better shape either, as he was also strained, constantly replenishing the buffs onto everyone, with his mana and spirit points nearly depleted. After several battles against the gradually increasing Abyssal Hellhound, they finally encountered the boss, an Abyssal Dog Demon however, just like the Hellhounds they've been battling against. The demon was simulated as well. As they were prepared for battle, they found themselves in poor condition. As the ugly creature before them slowly approached, they knew this was the final boss they needed to defeat to pass the preliminaries. Lin looked at his teammates and knew they had done their best, and they were nearly at their limit. Except for Lin and Yi Yi, the team had never encountered an Abyssal Dog Demon, and were astonished to see it could summon multiple Abyssal Hellhounds. Emma looked towards Tao Tao, asking what they should do next. With sweat beading on her forehead, Tao Tao was acutely aware of their dwindling state after numerous fights against the Hellhounds. She knew with their current condition, they had no chance of beating the final boss. As she contemplated her next move, Lin approached from behind and patted Tao Tao on the shoulder, and with a look of surprise, she turned to see Lin had already stepped in front of her, instructing everyone to rest on the spot, assuring them he would take over from here. Looks like it's showtime for our boy Lin again. Seeing Lin take charge, Emma and Oliver promptly sat down on the spot, gasping for breath and admitting they no longer had the energy to move. They expressed their confidence in Lin, asserting that with him there, everything would be all right. Tao Tao, rendered speechless by the scene, shook her head, and then, with a light blush on her cheek, she thanked Lin for stepping in, especially considering they had previously boasted about the challenge being easy enough to possibly not require Lin's help. Lin didn't say much in response, simply smiling at his teammates, reassuring them that this was what exactly he was here to do. Seeing the Abyssal Demon, Lin didn't even bother summoning his entire skeletal army. Within seconds, he casually summoned 3 skeletal warriors. Their sudden appearance and the aura they emitted caused Tao Tao and the others to involuntarily step back. Tao Tao watched everything unfold and gulped, visibly intimidated by the 3 skeletons that seemed even more daunting than the demon itself. This inevitably led the team to speculate just how powerful Lin had become, and whether his other skeletons were equally powerful. As the team watched in astonishment, the skeletal warriors had already charged into battle meeting the Hellhounds head-on. The collision was brief. A simple slash from the skeletal warriors split the Hellhound in half. Sitting afar, Tao Tao couldn't believe her eyes. It seemed like Lin's skeletons could take out a Hellhound that would take them otherwise several minutes to deal with, simply just with a single strike. Within milliseconds, all of the Hellhounds that were summoned were now dispatched, leaving only the final boss. It seems like whoever simulated the demons also simulated their intelligence, as the demon quickly dove towards Lin, clearly recognizing him as the master of these powerful summonses. However, before the demon could get anywhere near Lin, a skeletal warrior had already set the target on it, covered the distance of tens of meters instantly, and with a powerful rampage strike, effortlessly eliminated the demon with a single blow. The team watched incredulously, as not just the Hellhounds, but even the boss was downed with a single strike. As the corpses of the abyssal demons vanished, a voice resonated in the area, telling them that they had passed the assessment. Meanwhile, the leaderboard outside also updated, showing Lin's team suddenly leaping to first place from hundreds of places down. Lin's team, now at the top of the rankings, became the focus of attention. They were surprised to see a team manage to defeat the boss so quickly. However, Lin's own name became particularly conspicuous to many spectators, feeling they had heard of this name from somewhere before. When Lin and everyone were teleported out, they immediately saw their rank on the leaderboard. The 3 of them were still shocked, given that Lin had dispatched the boss in less than 5 seconds. With the preliminary selection concluded, the focus is now shifted to the individual competition in the afternoon, which everyone except Lin opted out of. As they were passing time chatting, another team was teleported out. They seemed like they had some tough time inside, but seemed highly spirited and satisfied with their teamwork, assuming they had secured the first place. Upon realizing someone had finished before them, their expressions turned sour. One of them pointed towards Lin and his friends. The captain of this team, noticing they had been outpaced, checked the leaderboard to find they were second to Lin's team. Unfamiliar with Lin's name, he squinted his eyes, and being second place further fueled his competitiveness. Perhaps from Lin's impressive performance, he anticipated seeing him again in the individual competition later this afternoon. The man, who seemed confident in his supremacy in this level bracket, was determined to race Lin again this afternoon. Well, we all know little bro is going to lose anyway. We fast forward. As the afternoon arrived, the individual competition was about to begin. Everyone lined up and entered at the same time. Lin entered the portal, as his team cheered him on. Arriving inside the dungeon, everything looked familiar. This caused him to think the singles should be as straightforward as the team competition, and deciding to summon just one skeleton. There were no trash mobs this time, and he was faced with a simulated abyssal wolf demon. Seeing the attribute of the demon, Lin let out a sigh, finding no challenge in facing these trash demons. Finding it too boring, he was prepared to speedrun it. A couple of swings from the skeleton's greatsword. As always, it's swift and decisive. Quickly, the assessment concluded, and Lin found himself outside once again, securing first place with a completion time of only 1 minute. Meanwhile, the little bro, also doing the assessment, didn't seem like he was in the greatest shape. He fought desperately against the demon, and emerged full of injuries, but quite exhilarated, believing he had secured first place with a time of 2 minutes and 55 seconds. However, his confidence was quickly shattered upon seeing the leaderboard. Not only was he second place again, but Lin had astonishingly finished in just 1 minute, leaving little bro in utter disbelief. As the adrenaline wore off and the pain kicked in, just before collapsing, the little bro caught a glimpse of Lin's departing figure. A realization struck him, and he suddenly remembered Lin was this year's top national scholar. Meanwhile, Lin, walking away, felt a pang of disappointment with the preliminary selection, his eyes drifting towards another competition area designated for higher-level professionals. He wondered if his sister was participating this year, and decided to check it out in hopes of finding her. As he made his way, someone called out to him. Lin looked up, and at that moment he was stunned. The voice was incredibly familiar, stirring an unprecedented excitement in his usually composed demeanor. From a distance, a figure approached him with a gentle smile, softly saying, "Long time no see, little bro." Seeing the woman, Lin quickened his pace and wrapped his arms around Mohan in a tight embrace, calling out, "Sister," with all the longing and emotions. It was as if time stood still in that moment, tears quietly tracing down his face. We had never seen our boy shed tears. Perhaps this marks the first time we've seen our boy in tears. As the wind rustled through the leaves, Mohan let out a smile, and slowly returned her brother's embrace. She also missed Lin very much. After a while they found a place to sit, and Mohan playfully noted Lin's height. He now stood a whole head taller than her. They chatted and laughed, eventually sitting side by side under the setting sun, sharing their recent stories. However, Lin didn't speak much. It was Mohan doing all the talking. Suddenly, Mohan turned to Lin with a smile, teasingly commenting on his quiet nature and how it might hinder him from finding a girlfriend, then gave him a wink. Lin shook his head, happy to see his sister the same way she had always been. He then asked how she knew he would be there. Through their conversation, Lin realized his sister had always kept an eye on him, aware of his accomplishments as the national top scholar and his admission into Xiajing Academy. However, this made Lin a bit frustrated on one hand. He was touched by her attentiveness, yet puzzled as to why she hadn't reached out to him, not even with a letter or a phone call. Mohan sighed deeply as well, hinting at a complicated reason behind her silence. Eventually, she explained she was in a prodigy program, and that her mentor's strict requirements had kept her intensely focused on leveling up, leaving her regretful for not reaching out to Lin sooner. This got Lin very curious as he wanted to know what level is Mohan right now. However, when he asked about his sister's level, only led to a playful refusal from Mohan, which left him no choice but to prompt him to use a detection spell. To his surprise, he couldn't discern her level or any information other than her profession, suggesting she either wore an item that capable of blocking detection, or her level was significantly higher than his. However, Lin noticed her profession was now a holy blade dancer, a surprise given he remembered her initial legendary profession as the blade dancer. His excitement bubbled over when he speculated if she had elevated her profession during her second-class transfer. Mohan smiled and said she got a bit lucky. However, this left Lin astounded, surprised that his sister could level up so rapidly. Mohan then whispered to Lin and asked if he had already awakened a talent. Lin nodded. She then revealed her talent allowed her to significantly accelerate her leveling speed, allowing her to advance much faster than others, as he knew that talent awakening is rare, with a wide range of talents, some powerful and others less so. Those who awaken talents and obtain favorable ones are considered a 1 in a million prodigy. Both Lin and his sister belonged to this exceptional category. Mohan emphasized the importance of keeping their talent secret from others, advice Lin took to heart with a solemn nod. As they continued their conversation, footsteps approached. 4 individuals in uniform attire and cloaks walked toward them, each exuding confidence and a compelling aura. The leader of the group smiled at Mohan before asking about Lin, and who might this be? His gaze shifted towards Lin. Mohan introduced Lin proudly as her brother. Upon learning Lin was Mohan's brother, the man's demeanor towards Lin visibly softened, followed by a friendly handshake. As he did so, he also noticed the military badge on Lin's chest. He was surprised to find Lin was a 2-star lieutenant. His initial hostility turned to friendliness upon learning Lin was Mohan's brother, now mixed with respect and a hint of surprise. Despite his feelings, he politely excused himself, expressing a hope that Mohan to return sooner to discuss tactics for the next day's competition before departing. Lin had also noticed the man's badge, a silver 1-star lieutenant's badge, a rank below his own. Turning to his sister, Lin asked if these individuals were her teammates for the competition. Mohan confirmed with a nod, explaining that like her, they were from the Creators Academy and were among its top prodigies. Lin earnestly commented that he felt they weren't as powerful as his sister. Hearing this, Mohan chuckled. While feeling pleased, she reached to pat Lin's head, a gesture from their childhood. However, when she realized that she had to stand on her toes to do so now, she smiled and told Lin that was very sweet of him to say, while internally marveling at how quickly her little brother had grown up. As the day came to a close, it was time to say goodbye. Mohan prepared herself for the reality that, after the competition, she'd be heading off for another trial assigned by her mentor, likely leaving her unable to see Lin for a considerable period. Shifting from a momentary sadness, she playfully extended a thumbs up to Lin, commanding in a jest that she hopes to meet his girlfriend the next time they see each other. Lin, looking earnestly at his sister, shared his plans to join the Creators Academy soon. Mohan's smile widened while saying, "All right, I'll be waiting for you." The sunset marked the end of the first day of the professional competition. The following day arrived swiftly, and with the completion of the preliminary selections, the majority of the teams were eliminated, leaving only the elite contenders. As the 100th professional competition officially commenced, massive arenas became the center of attention. It was said there were 1,024 teams that had passed the preliminaries, setting the stage for a straightforward elimination round where the victor advances and the loser is eliminated. Tao Tao retrieved their team number, 512, and they were up against team 513. Quickly, each team received its own number, with Tao Tao paying special attention to a few noteworthy teams, number 18, 322, 599, and several others. These teams consisted of top prodigies from different nations and factions, each composed of level 29 professionals equipped with top silver tier gear, and some of them consisted of legendary professions. Tao Tao's diligent preparations paid off as the team immediately began strategizing, deciding to employ the same approach as the day before. Let themselves handle the combat initially, and have Lin intervene only if necessary. They want to test their own skills while getting stronger through real combat. Soon, it was Lin's team's turn to take the stage, with both teams' participants stepping up as the professionals' information was displayed on the big screen for all to see. Their opponent's team captain was a female knight, just like Tao Tao. As both teams stepped onto the stage, it was the start of a challenging and eagerly anticipated match. The opposing team's captain, a level 27 knight, was 3 levels above Tao Tao. However, no one on the team was worried, confident that Lin had their backs. The audience, upon seeing Lin's profession as a necromancer, expressed surprise. Regardless of their familiarity with the profession, many recognized Lin's team as the first to pass the preliminary selection, and Lin himself as the first place in the individual preliminary selection as well. Team 513 breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing the levels of Lin's team, underestimating them due to their lower levels and unfamiliarity with the necromancer profession, thinking it was just another standard mage profession. Seemed like they were confident in their victory. As the match commenced in the arena, with both teams positioned dozens of meters apart, Tao Tao led the front holding her shield, followed by Yi Yi, with Oliver and Emma right behind. Tao Tao locked eyes with the female knight on the other team, clearly ready for battle. At the start signal, both teams' support members cast buffs onto everyone. Soon, the opposing knight initiated with a charge skill, and Tao Tao, not to be outdone, launched her own charge. Simultaneously, Emma cast her skill. She used wind-binding skills and targeted the female knight's legs. The female knight was abruptly halted at the wind-binding skill, which interrupted her charge, stopping her momentum and causing her to lose her balance. In that instant, Tao Tao collided with her, sending her flying and dislodging the shield from her grip. Tao Tao's charge skill didn't halt after the initial collision. She continued her momentum toward the rest of their team. In the midst of their disarray, she unleashed another knight-specific skill, Mass Taunt. Instantly, all attention and attacks from the enemy team were directed at Tao Tao, diverting focus from everyone else on her team. Unnoticed by the enemy, Yi Yi had vanished from sight, except for the female knight who was previously knocked away. Now, Tao Tao found herself standing in melee range with the enemy mage, with the opposing archer quickly reacting. Pulling out 3 arrows, the archer launched them simultaneously toward Tao Tao's flank, attempting to finish her off, or at least save the mage.